Today's lesson is exercise 8D, Conditional Probability. Conditional probability is the probability that an event occurs given that another event has already occurred. So this is like the formula. Probability of A given that B has already occurred. So this line here, this means given that. So probability of A given that. And B is the event that's already occurred. So the second one has already occurred. And it equals N, A, and B. So N, remember, means number of things. So the number of things in A and B over the number of things in B. If I asked you to find the probability of A, so I would be looking in this whole section here. So this is like my whole sample space, and the probability of A is this section here. If I asked you about the probability of A, given that B has already occurred, so my sample space now is just this. This is what's already occurred, and the probability of A, given that B's already occurred, it's just this section here. I want to show you what it means in terms of a two-way table. Lots of the conditional probability questions on the test are from a two-way table. So the probability of A, given that B has already occurred, equals the number of things in A and B. So that's this number here, this is A and B, over the number of things in B. So that's the total of B. So that is this number here. I want to show you some scenarios with different letters in case they pop up on the test. Okay, so the probability of N, given that F has already occurred. So if we look at the Venn diagram, so F has already occurred. So then the probability of N, given that F has already occurred, that's just this section here. Then if we look at the formula, the probability of N, given that F has already occurred, so the number of things that are in N and F, so that's this here from the formula, over the number of things in F. So this is the number of things in F in total, this part here. Okay, this one here, they've tried to trick you by flipping around the B and the A. So what it means is the probability of B, given that A has already occurred. So on the Venn diagram, A has already occurred, and the probability of B, given that A has already occurred, is this here. Back to the formula, so the number of things that are in A and B, that's here, over the number of things in A. So this is the number of things in A in total, this square here. We'll do two examples. Okay, so we're looking at this Venn diagram here, and we've got to find these probabilities. So the first one, the probability of A. So A is like this circle here. This is just like our normal probabilities. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. And altogether there's 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 0, 9. So 5 out of 9. The next one, the probability of A and B. A and B, that's like this middle section here. So 2 out of 9. Okay, on to our next one here. We're finding the probability of A, given that B has already occurred. So B has already occurred. And the probability of A is this here. So A, given that B has already occurred, is 2 out of 6. Okay, then the next one. The probability of B given that A has already occurred. So A has already occurred. Wrong colour. So there's 5 there. And the probability of B is just this here. So it equals 2 out of 5. Next example. From a group of 15 hockey players at a game of hockey, 13 played on the field, 7 sat on the bench, and 5 both played and sat on the bench. Put this information in a two-way table. Okay, so it's important here you always do the both. So 5 did both, field and bench. Then we know that 13 played on the field, so that's 13 F altogether. So this is like the total column here. And 7 sat on the bench, so 7 is the total for the B column. And they also tell us that there's a group of 15. So 15 altogether is the total. Now I just fill in the missing numbers. If you don't remember how to do this, you might need to do a refresher of the two-way table lesson. So basically it all just needs to add up to the totals. So 5 plus 2 equals 7, adding across. 7 plus 8 equals 15. Going down, 5 plus 8 equals 13. 8 going across, 8 plus 0 equals 8. Going down, 2 plus 0 equals 2. And it all adds up. Now let's answer the conditional probability questions about the table. So find the probability that the person only sat on the bench. So probability bench only. So that's like B and not F. So that's this one here. 2 out of 15 total. Okay, next question. Find the probability that the person sat on the bench given that they played on the field. So this is like probability that they sat on the bench given that they played on the field. So playing on the field is this total here, and the probability that they sat on the bench given that they played on the field is this. So our probability is 5 over 13. Next one, the probability that the person played on the field given that they sat on the bench. So the probability of field given that they sat on the bench. So sitting on the bench, that's this total here. And the probability that they played on the field is this here. So that makes our probability 5 out of 7. I would like you to complete this worksheet and submit it to my Panola.